My dad died when I was 5, and then that left Mom with, she was like 28. That left her with 3 kids under the age of 7. And she had rheumatoid arthritis, so she was disabled. So we were raised on a very, very limited income. We had a lady that came out. Her name was Miss Rowe. I remember, Mom would always have coffee made when Miss Rowe came, and they would sit and drink coffee and have adult conversations. It wasn't like just a stranger coming in and showing you this and that. They very much.
Looked forward to it too.
Oh yeah, and Miss Rowe, like I say, she became part of the family. She would play games, and she was comfortable enough. And even watching her with the other family that was down the road, she just became part of your family and talked to you just like your grandma or your aunt or somebody. Back in 2008, I worked for the WAMY program a couple of years, and I feel like it came full circle. I started out getting, they provided programs for us, and then I was able to give back to them, so I was real pleased with that. I just feel like WAMY was a big part of learning us, how to survive in life. They didn't offer like elaborate things, but just, teaching you basic life skills, how to survive in the world. And I think we turned out pretty good too,
I'm David Niven, the owner of DT's Blue Ridge Java Coffee Shop and Cafe with my wife Tricia. We have been in business now for 9 years. We got started by purchasing another business that was a small candy shop here on Lower Street in Spruce Pine, and we assumed our first loan through WAMY Community Action, I guess 9 years ago now. There was a couple of benefits as far as working with WAMY. Once we had a relationship established, they helped us in obtaining equipment that we actually did not have to get a loan through, which was really nice. They kept their eye out in the market for stuff that we needed to run our business. We obtained coolers and grinders for this store, and that was really a nice asset. The individuals in the office worked hand in hand with us, which was really nice. We didn't just call them, they called us if they needed something or we needed something, and it's been a very good relationship. There's a few things to really consider when you are starting out a new business, and fortunate for us is we have a long-range plan, and WAMY was part of that plan. If I were to make a recommendation, and we have, me and my wife, as far as WAMY is concerned. Oliver, who was the manager at that time, worked with us hand in hand every step of the way and never looked past our business. Our business was a major concern to him, and the staff at WAMY, they took a personal interest, and we believe to this day that without them we would not be where we are today, and they were a huge part of our success. So if you can, if there's any way, be sure to work with WAMY.
Well, I agreed to this interview because I think that it's very important to motivate people, to help people, to give them support when they're out doing something, and I didn't have anybody to talk to when I first came out here, so if I can do it, I think anybody can do it. I came out here from a state far away, and I was in a domestic violence situation. It ended very, very tragically, but I made it out with my life, and I came out here to start over and put as much distance as I possibly could between me and my abuser, and to start over. And I was basically a stranger in a strange land. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anything. I didn't have any money. I pulled in Beulah, North Carolina with $20 left in my pocket. That was it. And so, I mean, I was rock bottom. I was homeless. I had a car that just didn't run. I mean, it was a miracle that I made it out here 3,000 miles. And I wasn't going to let anything stop me. I knew there was a purpose and a way, and whatever it was, I was going to do it. We found an apartment that I could live in, and really, I mean, just having your own place where you could take a shower and leave your shampoo in the bathtub, you know, just your own place. Having food that you can actually go buy food and actually store it in the refrigerator. It was like a dream come true. And that's what, you know, I learned to believe in myself. Even now when things get really rough, it's like, okay, you've been through that. Surely you can make it through this. And then I asked myself, what's the worst thing that could happen? I know worse could happen, but I mean, I know I could make it through it, whatever comes up. I know I can. God's the blessed controller of all things, and that's just, He brought me to it. He'll see me through it. He's brought me this far. And like I said, I never thought, being out here, that I could do what I'm doing. I mean, especially being over 40, and I'm doing it. It just takes a little longer, but I'm doing it. So.
A friend of mine told me about it. I complained about my high fuel bill, and she said she knew it just exactly. We go to WAMY's, and I was hesitant a little bit, but we did, and reduced my fuel bill $1,200 a year since I had WAMY. And well, I wouldn't known what I would have done without him. Couldn't afford to stay warm then, but now I'm doing fine.
Good. So, do you know what they did?
Yes, they laid vinyl under the floor and put big, thick insulation up under the beams and blowed in some, what would you call that? Yeah, into the side, and went upstairs and put insulation upstairs. And one thing they did too, they covered my hot water heater with insulation, and it don't cost me nothing much. It's electric, and my water bill is $28 a month.
Is wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story and for sharing your home, letting us come in.
I'm glad to do that. And I hope you come back sometime.
All right,
visit.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you too. And you too.
Our orders were to visit every home. Every home. So I bought me a bunch of little notebooks. And when I started up the road, I went to taking names. I knew most of the people, or knew of them, and all of them knew my dad. So I was accepted without any problem anywhere I went. I just went in and talked to them like I'm talking to you. And one of the first places I went into was right out here on Rice Road. I went up to the end of the road, and you know, I'd lived here in that big white house down there on the road. And well, I guess I had people that lived in poverty, uncles and aunts and stuff, but I never looked upon it as poverty, because that was the way most of the people lived, and we accepted life as we had it, because there was actually no work in this area except mining. And we had a big Gugrot mine right across the hill here that's a two huge holes. And that was where Daddy was working when you met my mother. But there was few houses in this area. And I just went going to houses, and the ones I was talking about on the Rice Road, I went to the end of that road, and I was sort of in shock, because I didn't realize people lived like some of the people were living. I really didn't know what poverty was. And here I go into a home. The porch is full of cracks. There's no bathroom. The children are using the cracks in the porch. And there was no way of heating that house. It was a boxed house. And a little tin heater, wood heater. Most people had the little oblong tin heaters. And this one was sitting up on cinder blocks. Didn't have any legs. And I think it was 7 children in this house. And they had pallets in the floor. They didn't have a bed. In fact, they had very little furniture. So I made a note of all that and visited the other houses around, which was in much better shape. Then I went to church on Sunday, and I told the people, I need furniture, I need beds, I need bed covers. And you know, I just about furnished that house. So I'd go in, and here was this baby in a crib. It looked like it was malnutrition. Its skin was perfectly clear. And there's another one that could just barely walk in the floor. This one's in the crib. And all the bottles I seen was clabbered milk in them. And they were living in just a shack. I think there's 4 children at that time. So I talked to the mother about Planned Parenthood, and she said, oh, you'll have to talk to my husband. So I take the husband out behind the house to talk to him. I couldn't talk to him in front of his wife. But that's how backward these people were. So I explained to him and pulled out all my things you could use and showed them to him. And he said, oh, this is just what we need. So I took his wife, but the health department got her fixed so she wouldn't have no more babies. we had a thing that they injected it into their arm that would stay there, that they didn't have to fool with, that was very effective. And so it kept us busy taking care of the mothers and trying to get food into them to eat. That, I think, was our greatest concern when we first started working. We found a lot of sickness people take to the doctors, and it was just a lot of running. And sometimes our days didn't end at 5 o'clock. But we always filled our time out for from 8 in the morning to 5 of the evening. We never added no extra time, but I'd say the majority of us worked a lot of overtime back in the beginning. Because we were loving, caring people of the poor people. And we wanted things taken care of, and that was the only way it could be taken care of, was if we dug in there and went to work and seen that they got the doctors and help they needed.
In the beginning, a lot of people thought it was just another welfare program coming down the pike to give a handout to low-income people. But actually, the purpose of WAMY was to, among other things, was to attempt to get low-income people out of poverty. And to do that, you had to find some way to either motivate them or train them or provide opportunities for them to help themselves. A lot of people don't know they're poor until you tell them, because they have lived generation after generation. And I guess most of us that are natives of the area, or majority of people, grew up in poverty but didn't know it, because out in the rural areas of the counties, people in the early days pretty much lived. They grew most of what they needed, and they were accustomed to do that. And we found that even though their income level is below the poverty guideline, there's a lot of proud people out there that won't accept help, giveaways type, help. But you can help them help themselves. It was doing what I liked to do, and not for the credit in the housing area. And we did a replacement for a couple over there, and I got a real nice letter from them thanking me. They were just tickled to death, but that wasn't why we did it. They were eligible, the opportunity was there, and they deserved it, and it was done for them.